All right, let's talk about a metric that can literally make or break your store. Cost of goods sold. Seriously, this is what separates the businesses that just scrape by from the ones that actually thrive. If you get this right, you unlock your true profit. But if you get it wrong, well, you could be super busy making sales left and right and still be losing money. So let's dive in.
So, does this sound familiar? You're seeing sales notifications pop up, your revenue numbers are climbing, but you've got this nagging feeling in the back of your mind. Are you really making any money? It's a super common trap, you know? These hidden costs, they're like a silent anchor, just dragging your profits down, and you might not even see it happening. Yeah, we call this the profit illusion. It's so easy to get completely mesmerized by that big revenue number. And hey, it feels good to look at, right? It's a great vanity metric. But here's the thing. On its own, it tells you almost nothing about how healthy your business actually is. It's just one little piece of a much bigger puzzle. And you know, that's the hard truth of it. If you don't have a super precise handle on every single direct cost that goes into a sale, you're not running on facts. You're running on assumptions. You're basically guessing, kind of flying blind. And that is a really risky way to run a business.
Okay, so how do we fix this? How do we go from guessing to knowing? The answer, my friends, is mastering one single metric, your cost of goods sold, or as you'll often hear it, COGS. This is the key. This is what's going to give you that clarity you've been looking for.
So what exactly is it? Well, your COGS includes every single direct cost it takes to get one of your products into your customers' hands. Just think of it like this. It's not your marketing budget, it's not your office rent, it's purely the cost of the goods you're selling. And it's simple math. The higher that number is, the less actual profit you get to keep from each sale.
And listen, getting this distinction right is probably the biggest first hurdle for a lot of people. It's just so easy to blur the lines between what's a direct product cost and what's a general business expense. But you've got to keep them separate. It's absolutely crucial. Why? Because only the costs included in COGS can tell you if a specific product is actually making you money.
Okay, so we've defined it, we know what it is. Now let's get practical. Let's actually walk through how you would calculate this for your own store. And don't worry, it's probably more straightforward than you think. So for pretty much any e-commerce store, the calculation goes something like this. First, you start with the basic cost you pay your supplier for the unit. Easy enough. Then you layer on the cost for your fulfillment and packaging. After that, you add in the shipping costs. And finally, and this is the part people often forget, you have to include those small but crucial fees, things like customs or transaction costs. Look, theory is one thing, but a real example is what makes it all click, right? So let's pretend we're selling a custom hoodie. We're gonna break down all the real-world costs one by one. Okay, here's where it all starts to make sense. The hoodie itself costs us $15 from the supplier. But after you add in that nice branded packaging, the shipping to the customer, and those little import fees, your actual direct cost, your COGS, is $22.50. Think about that. That's a 50% jump from the supplier price. And you absolutely cannot ignore any of these costs. All right, so let's say you're selling this hoodie for a pretty solid $45. Now the big question is, after you subtract all those direct costs we just added up, what are you actually left with? $22.50. That is your gross profit for every single hoodie you sell. It's not the $30 you might have guessed by just looking at the supplier cost, right? And knowing this real number, oh man, that changes everything. And this is exactly why we call COGS your business's true compass. It is not just some boring accounting term you figure out once a year for your taxes. No way. It's a powerful strategic tool that should be guiding your decisions every single day. I mean, this is where COGS transforms from just a number into a strategic weapon for your business. When you know this number for every single product, you can finally price things with confidence. You can spot those products that are secretly draining your bank account. And you can double down on the real winners to scale your business the smart way. But here's the kicker, and this is so important. These costs are not set in stone. Supplier prices change all the time. Shipping rates go up and down. So relying on some old spreadsheet from 6 months ago, that's a recipe for disaster. Real-time tracking isn't a nice to have anymore. In today's market, it's an absolute necessity if you want to stay profitable. So by making this shift, by moving from just guessing to a truly data-driven approach, you fundamentally change the way you operate. You're not just crossing your fingers and hoping for profit anymore. You are actively engineering it with every single decision you make. Ultimately, it all boils down to this. Stop relying on rough estimates and start scaling your business with real confidence. Because that shift in mindset, that is what separates the stores that struggle from the ones that scale and last for the long haul. So, we'll leave you with this to think about. Now that you have this clear lens on your true costs, what's the first strategic move you're going to make? Seriously, think about it. Your answer could completely change the future of your business.